Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back another video from 6, and today we are checking out Kabuto versus all of the Akatsuki duos. Now, Sage Kabuto, yeah. I think it's going to be an interesting one. It depends how he does this, but I personally feel Sage Kabuto could take all of the duos, and the only duo he would have difficulty with, let me think of the duos, would be Itachi Kasami. Considering we saw how Itachi dealt with Kabuto, having Kasami with him, it would help. I don't think he's going to struggle with the others, but I could be wrong. You guys can let me know in the comment section down below. Oh, excuse me. And be sure to check out my Etsy shop in the description. I've got hats and hoodies on sale. Let's go!
I don't get enough opportunity to talk about Kabuto
Such a cool
on this
design.
channel, mainly because
And he wasn't in it for that long, really, was he, as this? But and he's not really doing anything in Boruto either, but anyway.
Kabuto versus battle topics are extremely hard to come by, but he's a pretty powerful character that, aside from today, I've only talked about one other time when I put him up against Obito. Today we'll be putting him up against all the different Akatsuki duos, and we're doing this gauntlet style. So let's lay out the rules before getting into the fight.
How does that work? Because I see people online doing like gauntlets for characters, and I've never checked them out, but so this will help me understand that. Cool.
These fights will happen one at a time, and the Akatsuki duos will come in one after another. Kabuto will receive no break time between any of them, so if he does...
Okay, alright, okay, so he fights them, and then, alright.
Manage to get past the first few, he might start feeling the effects of fatigue set in and make later battles, harder for him.
Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so if he struggles against one but wins, then it's going to be hard in the next one. Running the gauntlet, alright.
In order to balance this for Kabuto, I'm giving him the terrain advantage, and he can fight in the cave that he fought Sasuke.
Makes sense, you gotta give him something,
in.
Jesus.
So he'll be able to alter the terrain, at least to the extent we saw him do in that battle. I'll have chapters below for each Akatsuki duo section.
Duos, though. Who's Conan duoing with? Is Orochimaru involved?
You can skip around if you want to listen to see how I think he fares against a certain duo. But if you're going to listen to the whole video, this will be the entire...
Conan be with Pain. Oh, is Pain included? I didn't think about that either. No, I think he's going to struggle against Pain as well, if that's a thing. Oh, I didn't think about that. Let God's sake, come on, let the video play, man.
First, we'll have Hidan and Kakuzu.
Okay.
Then Deidara and Sasori.
Right.
Then Deidara and Tobi. Kisame and Itachi.
Now, is Tobi being... Alright.
Finally, Conan and the Six Paths of Pain.
Okay. I'm not sure it's going to get to these two, really. Bloody hell. I think this is... And if they do, after Itachi Kasami, not happening. And when we say Tobi, is it going to be fighting as Obito or... Ooh.
To be extremely clear, Tobi isn't Obito in his team with Deidara.
Literally just asked. Cool. Alright, okay.
He will be in character as Goofball Tobi.
Right.
As far as intel goes, any information Kabuto currently has on the Akatsuki, he will also have going into this battle, and the same goes for any Akatsuki members that know Kabuto.
Cool.
Given obvious questions people would have about what this means for Itachi, we'll be limiting his knowledge to his Akatsuki days, since most of the intel he gained on Kabuto he did while he was no longer a member of the Akatsuki.
Okay.
And if I wanted to give him that info in order to make the fight fair, I'd also have to take his left Sharingan, since that was also lost in that fight. Everyone will be appearing in their strongest forms, and what that means is Itachi will have taken his medicine that day. Deidara will have both of his arms.
He will have taken his medicine that day. Love it.
Sasori will have access to his puppets. Kakuzu will have all 5 of his hearts.
Damn.
Pain will be as close to Nagato as he needs to be, and Kisame will possess Samehada.
Right.
Now, I'm pretty sure that's as far as I need to go as far as ground rules. Obviously, each fight will be to the death, and all characters out for the kill. But that's not saying I'm going to plug a controller into all of them and have them do things they wouldn't normally do. Everyone will be acting in character, using tactics they would normally have used in the manga, or a plan you could say that they might have made based on that information. We're going to start with a short Kabuto overview just to get a gauge of his power, and then after that get into the fighting. Before we begin with that though, I'd like to ask you to leave a like on the video and
Subscribe to
the
Six,
channel,
man.
as
I say it every
really
time.
appreciate it.
Nailing
It
these
helps the
videos.
channel out.
Nailing it.
This isn't the first time we've seen Kabuto get jumped in this fashion. Obviously, we saw him take on two former Akatsuki members, that being Sasuke and Itachi, in a similar setting to what we've laid out here today. This fight is extremely important to Kabuto's scaling since it's quite literally the only one he had.
Yeah.
There is something I didn't mention in the intro that I'm giving Kabuto since he had it in the main series, and that's Anko's curse mark, which provides him with an amp. I like to point out something interesting about Kabuto, and that's the idea of a quote-unquote perfect sage. Kabuto is the only one to ever use this term in canon, and I think that's important. The way Kabuto obtained Sage Mode is far different from the training process Naruto went through.
Oh, yeah,
Naruto sat,
well.
meditated, and even when mastering the form, couldn't maintain it for very long. Now, Naruto, without a doubt, entered full Sage Mode, but I think that there's a line to draw in the sand here between a full Sage like Naruto and a perfect Sage like Kabuto. The weakness Naruto has of exiting the form after a lot of his Sage chakra is expended is one Kabuto does not have, as he can keep taking in nature energy due to possessing Jugo's Kekkei Genkai. This puts his body in a perpetual state of Sage Mode basically. Kabuto can kind of just chill in Sage Mode, even when in Izanami after Itachi stacks another Genjutsu on top of it, he stays in Sage
just
Mode.
in it constantly.
This is important
right?
to Kabuto's fight overall because Sage Mode should keep you constantly replenished in terms of stamina. Paul says something about this to Naruto when Naruto is training for Sage Mode. Unlike Ninjutsu Chakra where you progressively tire because you're just using up your internal energy, with Sage Jutsu you're continuously taking in nature energy from the outside, and not only don't you get tired, you'll recover and heal quicker too. Other than that, Kabuto,
so that's really going to help for each fight though, isn't it? Right, okay.
Has a pretty cracked out move kit, and after covering his moveset, we'll just move right into the matchups. I need to cover this move first since it's integral to explaining another one of Kabuto's abilities, that being Sage Art White Extreme Attack. This attack is literally just insane. This is what Kabuto had to say about it. Light and sound knock out sight and hearing, a jutsu that causes the air to oscillate, to paralyze senses, freezing you in place. Sasuke even goes as far as saying the sound was rattling his bones.
Jeez.
I want to go over what the data book says about this technique before going over how Kabuto's body reacts to it, but that part is insane too. Data book 4 says the atmosphere shakes like a dragon roar, the violent flash that snatches the senses away. It's a technique that only those who trained at Ryuchi Cave and mastered the Sage transformation can handle. It changes the natural energy gathered inside the body into a dragon of light and releases it from the mouth. It paralyzes the sight of sense and hearing with the light and sound that are generated immediately after, and the sense of feeling is paralyzed by means of the intense oscillation of the air, blocks the movements. With the corny ears of a snake in internal liquefaction, only the jutsu user can elude its effects.
Right.
So yeah, it's a pretty insane jutsu.
Mad.
Not only did it rattle Sasuke's bones for a short time, Sasuke was able to keep up his Susanoo while this jutsu was active until eventually he admitted he just couldn't hold it up any longer.
Damn.
Keep in mind, this is EMS Sasuke, way stronger than the one who fought any of the 5 Kage, and way stronger than the one who grew stronger constantly as he was fighting Danzo. Of course, this jutsu didn't end up taking Itachi Susanoo's down, but that's Edo Itachi. I kind of already spoiled it in the data book reading it, but Kabuto avoids this jutsu by liquefying his insides and shutting off his sight. So sight-based genjutsu doesn't work on Kabuto, and it's important to note that the liquefaction of his body lets him avoid damage in a lot of scenarios.
Jesus
like
Christ,
when Sasuke
he's
pins him down,
gonna do
with
quite well in
Susanoo
this
arrow,
gauntlet, man.
but he just avoids it and gets away by liquefying. Kabuto also has access to Toyuya's flute genjutsu, which when used by him needed 2 Mangekyo tier jutsu to break out of. One which is stated to be the upper limit of the Sharingan's hypnosis
He
ability.
can use all their abilities.
He also has access to Kidomaru's webs, which by his usage require 2 Amaterasu to stop, and even then they didn't burn the webs away, they just stopped it from moving. He then has 3 different jutsu he can use to control the terrain to his advantage. He can use Kimimaru's Bracken Dance to control where enemies go in the cave. Use Jirobo's jutsu to move around any defenses, and Sage Art Inorganic Reanimation to completely manipulate the cave around them and impale them with rocks. And
God damn, Kabuto's got such a freaking arsenal of techniques, man. He's insane.
Probably Kabuto's 2 greatest assets he has, the danger sensing awareness granted by Sage Mode, which gives him a pretty high level of precognition and spatial awareness, on top of having Edo Tensei he can summon and control. Normally prep time would have to be required to implement Edo Tensei into a versus battle, but Kabuto at this point has done all the prep. He just has to summon the Edo Tensei ready to go whenever he so chooses. That's all I wanted to talk about for Kabuto though, so let's start talking about the actual matchups. Starting off with Kakuzu and Hidan, of course I think Kabuto is faster than both of them due to scaling to EMS Sasuke and Edo Itachi and characters of those sorts. Kakuzu's most important asset here is probably his Diamond Morph armor, but considering Kabuto's usage of the White Extreme attack, it would force Kakuzu to likely just let down this armor.
Oh yeah.
As we can see, Kakuzu can clearly see and hear while he still has this armor on, so it doesn't make him impervious to sound or light-based attacks, to which Kabuto could obviously just take advantage of and then eventually get him out of there. Hidan's Joshing ritual is probably their best win condition if they would try to go for something like that. They would need to draw blood from Kabuto though to do it, which he can't do because Kabuto can liquefy himself and liquefy his insides, so that they could never land a unique attack on him like that in order to actually draw the blood and begin the ritual. Neither of them have an answer for White Extreme attack like I mentioned earlier, so when Kabuto launches that, Kakuzu would obviously drop his armor, and then Kabuto could get through all of his hearts and cut off his head if he needs to. And Hidan's not that strong outside of his immortality, and Kabuto, if he's able to render him useless like that, can just cut his head off too, or in an extreme case, he can eat them, which he can unironically actually do. He can eat them.
Damn.
Neither of them have an answer for Toyuya's flute genjutsu, so that's also going to, just tear them apart. If Kabuto lands it on them, they have no way to break out of it, and Kabuto would just beat them up. Then we move on to Deidara and Sasori. Now, it's questionable if Sasori's poison would even work on Kabuto, and I'll mention why. If you don't agree with the reasoning, then we'll come up with something else. But what I think is, Sasuke had resistance to poison due to Orochimaru, which it makes sense that Kabuto, who also has Orochimaru's
would
DNA
have the
training,
same resistance. Yeah, that does. Okay, I'm with that logic.
would also have that same resistance to poison. Now, we do know Sasori has some pretty high tier poison, but since they have poison resistance, do we really know if the poison would work?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying it wouldn't work, I'm not saying it would work, but do we know if it could work? We really have no idea. So I don't want to just say that Sasori's poison would be able to take them out. Deidara's launch of C4 probably wouldn't happen due to the tight space of the cave, and even then it might not work on Kabuto anyway due to him being able to liquefy himself. If Deidara does happen to use a C0 though, Kabuto could probably just get out by reverse summoning, sort of the same way Sasuke did. You get what I mean? So it's gonna be really hard for them to win, and Deidara's method of just flying away isn't gonna work here either, since they're in a cave, in an enclosed cave. So at any point in time, Kabuto should just be able to manipulate the cave, maybe get Sasori out of the Hiriko shell first, and then start beating up his chakra core, since he should have that knowledge on the Akatsuki, after doing all the research into them and whatnot. And he should have pretty extensive knowledge on Deidara as well, since both of them anyway, they were both reanimated by Kabuto in the Fourth War. So he should know what they can do. He even let Deidara out on a test run against Inoki on Turtle Island. So he should know what Deidara can do, and he should know what Sasori can do, what they're truly capable of. So he would probably just use White Extreme Attack or something like that, or to use Flute Genjutsu, just something to incapacitate them and eventually beat them, since he should be much faster than them, like I mentioned earlier, because he scales the EMS Sasuke. We know Deidara shouldn't scale that high because he barely scales the heavy Sasuke, at least in speed. As combatant, they're pretty relative. If not, Deidara is a little bit stronger, maybe. But yeah. Kabuto versus Deidara and Tobi is basically the same as the first round. The only real difference here is the fact that Tobi can plant bombs for Deidara, but these didn't even really work on Sasuke.
Did we even see him as Tobi do anything other than just be an idiot before showing he had the Sharingan? I can't remember.
Sage mode to sense where they were, So I don't really see the Datara Toby combo coming through and pulling out the W on Kabuto with Sage Mode here. Then we move on to Kisame and Itachi. This is where things sort of start to heat up.
Definitely.
Itachi fought Kabuto before, although this time he'd have intent to kill rather than the intent to stop the Edo Tensei army.
So that's a bit different, yeah.
And I do want to note, we've never seen Itachi and Kisame fight as a team, which sort of gives me the impression that they both let each other handle their own fights. And there's examples of this, like Kisame handled the Four Tails whenever they were fighting the Konoha people. Itachi took some of them, Kisame took the other ones. Same thing
Just
when they were
do their own
handling
thing.
Team
Yeah, they
Guy and
separate.
Team Kakashi, whenever they were sealing away Gar and they used the Art of Impersonation Jutsu. It's really just, I don't think that they have crazy good teamwork. They might. I'm just saying it's never actually
We've never
been,
seen
like,
it.
on display, if you get what I mean. It's pretty clear that bare minimum they're like pretty good friends, but we don't really know how well they would work together, how their movesets would complement each other. Itachi is not impervious to death this time, so White Extreme Attack might actually start doing some major damage to him here, as he won't have the Edo regeneration to help him recover quicker. Kisame's ability to absorb chakra, though, it would normally be great, right? Like, it would normally be like a fantastic ability to have.
It's nature energy
Kisame
now,
says,
isn't it?
The stronger his opponent is, the stronger he becomes. But due to Kabuto having a particularly nasty chakra, since he's got, Orochimaru's chakra as well, he has Sage Mode too, so Samehada might just refuse to even absorb Kabuto's chakra, because we've seen him do that before. Like, he doesn't like absorbing hot things, for example. So I don't really know if Kisame is going to be absorbing too much chakra here, and even then, would he just like turn into a snake or something like that, or would Samehada turn into a snake or something if he took too much chakra from Kabuto?
Because it's nature energy.
Even if Kisame fuses, it won't help much, since he got much stronger through chakra absorption from B at that point when he, initially fused with Samehada and Samehada was transforming or whatever. Genjutsu won't work on Kabuto. Like, just, it won't work. None of Itachi's Genjutsu are going to work on Kabuto. They're all sight-based, and he can just completely shut off his eyes. He even did this when he was fighting Itachi before, so he would know. This really comes down to, like, landing Amaterasu, and if Itachi can or not, since it does seem to keep Kabuto at bay. Although Kabuto does say he can just like neg damage with his Orochimaru style substitution and whatnot, so it's possible landing Matarasu won't even help in this fight.
Damn, okay.
But it would definitely give them, like, I don't know, something. Like, you could at least use it as defense or something like that, because Sasuke used it as defense and it actually, like, kept Kabuto away. But overall, I don't really see them taking Kabuto down this time, even if Itachi has the killer intent. He's weaker here, since, even though he did take his medicine this day, he is sick. He's weaker here, and he's with someone we don't know if he can work as well as he did with Sasuke with, even though he mainly carried that fight. So, yeah, I don't really think that,
Damn, okay, this is where I thought the tide would turn, but no, and then intriguing with pain. Let's go.
Kisame and Itachi are going to be able to beat Kabuto. Then we move on to Konan and Pain, and Kabuto should be stronger than Orange Mask Obito, at least, who like negged Konan. I don't think Konan's too relevant.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about Konan in this,
considering she also lost to Jiraiya, right? So without prep time, she's really not going in there and about to do something big to Kabuto. Pain's really big jutsu won't work here either, like Chibaku Tensei, Chaotic Shinra Tensei, due to them, being in the cave.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Even if he did like launch a Chibaku Tensei in the cave with a black core, Kabuto could just attack it with inorganic reanimation. So yeah, that, speaking of, is probably going to be the Six Paths' main downfall, having to go up against Kabuto's inorganic reanimation, which he can use to just sort of attack whenever he wants to. Like, he can attack from blind spots. And even if the Pains are all like looking at each other, it's gonna be pretty hard for them to react to. This attack was like about to blitz EMS Sasuke, right? Like, it was a little bit faster than how Edo Itachi could move with the Susanoo on. So I don't really see the Pains being able to get around the White Extreme Attack or inorganic reanimation. And with White Extreme Attack, they all get like blinded, right? And then you can maybe make an argument that it would even affect Nagato as well in his ability to use the Pains. So the Pains might like collapse after they're hit with that jutsu. Since Nagato can clearly hear and see through the pains, he might get like sensory overload or something. And even then, you know, it's supposed to mess him up. Like the jutsu is supposed to mess Nagato or the victim of the jutsu. It's supposed to mess you up. So like Tendo, even though he's obviously like the hardest hitting, he would even still be blinded. So you may be able to make an argument that okay, he may be able to like deflect the jutsu or whatever. But since the ability sort of like lights up the whole cave, it kind of renders that defense useless, right? Like he pushes it away and it still just blows up, lights up the whole cave, oscillates the air, you know, heavy sound attacks, whatever. The Predator Path may try to absorb it, but I don't know if it would be fast enough since the attack kind of is faster than like EMS Sasuke. Do I really want to say the Predator Path is faster than EMS Sasuke? I don't know if I want to say that. The Pains also have no idea what this technique is, so yeah, there is that.
Yeah, they wouldn't.
Sorry for like, you know, sort of breezing through these matches. I didn't want this video to be like an hour long.
Kind of right though.
Or anything like that. So if I need to go over like a longer video of Kabuto versus Pain, you can just leave a comment down below. But that's pretty much it for this one. Obviously, if you like the video, please leave a like on it and subscribe. And have a nice day.
Sweet. Yeah, I kind of thought, but he explained it so well about what Kabuto can do and compared to all the other abilities and that. Sick. Kabuto had like such a goddamn collection of stuff he could do. Mad. Brilliant. Class. So, make sure to check out my Etsy shop. I got shirts and hoodies that I've designed there. It's not just logo stuff. I've got other things, and every other week I'll be adding more things on there. All good fun. There's UK and US based stuff, so to sort out delivery charges and stuff there. But anyway, thank you to my patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of the video below, link in the description to the Patreon page. $1 month size support channel. That's greatly appreciated. Thank you guys for that. Thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe, leave comments down below. Let me know that you watch us for future videos. I'll see you guys next time.